Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Rocket Monday, I'm going to talk about some space news that I'm recording on 7/6/2022. So let's dive right into it. Now, first thing you have to understand, hopefully if things are going well, you should have already started to see it or you will see it after this video. James Webb Telescope's first color image should start to reach public at this point in time. Meaning, James Webb Telescope was launched and then it was like deployed and then it went into the boring process of final calibration. Meaning, at that point in time, it was very irritating because mirrors were deployed, things were done, solar shield were deployed. Why the hell the wait? It was deploying, it was fine tuning it. So rough tuning was done very quickly and then fine tuning took seriously large amount of time. So as in like few months kind of large amount of time. But at this point in time, it's done. Meaning final calibration and everything. Basically, a team will hand it over. Basically, the team who built the stuff will like, okay, we have done it, we have launched it in space, we have to calibrate it. Now the science team will take over. Unless there is some damage or something like that, only then it will go back. But right now, it's like, okay, our job is done here, science team, go. So what does that mean? That simply means now astronomers will compete for observation time because again, first few will be pre-booked at this point in time and more as the first results to start to appear to public, then more and more universities, astronomers, they will start to compete heavily for this system. And the first time you should see this is 12th July 2022. So that date should be very interesting. And you should have seen it now because here's the deal. Spitzer telescope had this much resolution and Webb has this much. Now this is infrared, it's already been observed by public. So it has significantly better resolution compared to anything else. And optical resolution, once we start to achieve that, be mindful, optical is not its forte. It's like, I can do it. It's like, I'm not built for that. I'm built for infrared system. Now, once we have the optical, once we have the infrared observation, then we can do what's called false color images. Once you have that, truly have that, technically speaking, these are also false color because, well, you can't see infrared. So that's one of those things. Once we have that, then we're going to have truly amazing images. And people are expecting some big things from this puppy. So let's see how things unfold because everything is done. Hopefully we will get some good, colorful images. Now, the most spicy topic of the point is FAA delay. Now, FAA delay has to understand in this way. FAA is doing very thorough job. Now, why they are doing very thorough job? Because it's a ludicrously high profile. It's not high profile, it's ludicrously high profile. What does that mean? That simply means there are people on both camps, A, who wants it, B, who does not want it. And both have some legit point. Meaning, at this point in time, it's best interest of FAA to be absolutely thorough. Meaning, if there is a basically court case filed against them, it will directly go to Supreme Court. Basically, it's like, bro, we did our job as per the law. And if you have problem with the law, go to Supreme Court. That's what they want to do. And to give you a context of that, how serious this puppy is, there are already cases filed not against SpaceX, not against FAA, but against Texas government, basically sub-government of Texas, where it's like, dude, how you can apply this? Like, why can you have road closure, this much road closure? It's a protected land and this and all that. So it's already starting to happen. So that should give you a context. Like, it is very sensitive topic. So FAA has to be extra thorough about it. Now, FAA have already started releasing paperwork where basically saying almost all major milestones are done, meaning they had to contact other department, meaning forestry department, wildlife department, and fishery department. All of the department, they have to what you say, what do you say, what you say. So they have done all of it. Now you may be like, okay, if they have already done it, why we don't have the final paperwork? Well, now they are compiling the results. Like, there are some requirements. Basically, some department have required, hey, okay, it's fine and good, we will give you the green mark, but you should have like some individual whose sole job is to reduce your footprint, so to say. So those sort of things will be published in the final work. So only minor paperworks are remaining at this point in time, and by June 13 we should have the final stamp if things go well. But let's see what happens, but be mindful. If it fails, the Starbase will directly turn into Starbase prototyping, and then Texas, basic testing, I'm saying, Florida place will become the main launching department. This will still be as a prototyping area because SpaceX does have that license, prototyping license. Now, something interesting happened. NASA is now doing contract transfer. What does that mean? That simply means Boeing, when they launched the second mission, it was not what we call confidence inspiring, meaning it was there, it was good, it was successful, it did not have any jaw-dropping failure, but it was not what we call good. It was what we call, are you seriously kidding me that your docking ring is not functioning properly? Like, literally, you wasted 1 hour of NASA's time because bro, ring is not, that happened, that actually happened. And your cooling system malfunctioned and your thruster pod malfunctioned, because like, here's the, one of that is not a big deal. 3 of them, really? So it is flat out at this point in time, NASA is losing confidence. Now, at the time when the mission was concluded, they were like, Boeing was like, we scored 15 out of 10. I'm like, really, bro? Really? 15 out of 10 is like, you having malfunctioning docking ring and cooling system failure and pod failure. So I'm like, damn, what is your 10 on 10? So that was real, and NASA was also like, it was much better because thankfully no crash happened, nothing bad happened, so it was like okay. But after that, NASA just booked 5 more missions from Dragon. Now what does that translate to? Think of it this way: commercial crew program was built with certain requirements. So it's like, we need at least this many launches to make it viable. Okay, those launches were booked because SpaceX have already delivered, Dragon is already working, so that has been taken care of. That's good, awesome. No, don't think too much about it. But after booking that, SpaceX get to charge whatever they want, because like that's the fixed price part. Anything after that, it's up to us. We will charge as much as we want. So that booking is kind of expensive for NASA, but they had to do it simply because crew safety cannot be trolled around. This is flat out not safe enough for NASA's point of view. And the paperwork is very methodical, but fancy way of saying it, Boeing messed up. And there is some clause, quote unquote clause, that NASA is saying quietly. It's like, if anybody else has some other proposition, which at this point in time, there is only one company, that is Sierra Nevada, which is their dream chaser. It's like, if you have it, we can look into it. Fancy way of saying, please save us, because it's not in a good interest from NASA's and national security point of view that you will have only one craft. That's not a good thing. That is why they spent money on developing 2 of them, even though this was more expensive. They always wanted to have 2, but at this point in time, this has not delivered its intended. So they have to be like, we have to go into this. Is there anybody else? Fancy way of saying, dream chasers, please come and save us. So that has happened. This is a very big step. Now, another aspect is there is another high-profile case from Rocket Labs. Rocket Lab is going to moon. Now, you are like, wait a minute, isn't that rocket tiny? Yes. So how they are going there? Well, they are using Electron rocket, obviously, with kick stage and using orbit raising maneuver. That's how India's PSLV achieved moon missions and Mars mission. Basically, if you have a small rocket and you have boatload of time, you can go almost anywhere you want to go. So instead of like you having Saturn V that can go to the moon in 3 days, you can go to the moon in few months. So that's one way of doing it. Now, what the mission is, what we call CAPSTONE mission. Now, this is a small CubeSat. So why they are doing it? Well, right now, there is a proposed design of lunar gateway. Okay, that's awesome. The orbital gateway should be in specific orbit. Now that orbit type is very unique, never have been attempted. Now people did the math, people did the paperwork, checked the maths and everything, double checked supercomputer, all that jazz, but here's the deal, they have never actually attempted it. So this is the actual attempt. We want this orbit. Does moon allow it? Now you may be like, why do we want something as awkward as this, hoobly orbit? Well, reality is very simple. It's a space station. They want to make sure that space station does not go in a dark zone, meaning behind the moon where they cannot communicate with it. Now, again, it can be communicated. You just need a relay station, but they ideally want to avoid it, where they're like, just the space station is looking at Earth 24/7 into 365. So they have created an orbit for that. This is the first time something physical would go there and test that orbit. Is that stable? If things go well, in 6 months, they will have figured out, is it truly low energy? Because be mindful, let's say you can have an orbit, because moon is very small. It does not have smooth gradient of gravity, meaning some places have low gravity, some places high. So your orbit looks like this. Now again, it's not this bad, but you have to understand thrusters have to fire to smooth the orbit, meaning if you orbit too close to it, it will not last long. If you orbit too far, you may drift out of it. So that is why it does require thrust corrections, but they want to do it as little as possible, especially when you are talking about something as big as or heavy as like 400 tons of space station. So that would be the finally tested. And does it actually see Earth 24/7 without any blackout? And again, maths checks out. We'll just have to physically do it to be double checked. And there is some secondary objective. For secondary objective being, this will utilize first time a sort of communication and measurement equipment, which will allow to use lunar reconnaissance orbiter to find out its accurate distance, meaning it will not rely on Earth to know where it is on the lunar orbit. It will use basically asset on the moon itself to figure out basically lunar GPS. So that's the whole mission. And if this mission is successful, then basically Rocket Labs will become very big profile. Even with such a tiny rocket, they will become something big, because this sort of mission is what we classify as high profile. And if they pull it off, and be mindful, they are only pulling this off with a tiny rocket known as Electron. Imagine what they can achieve if once they finalize their neutron rocket. That would be something interesting to see, because achieving this is big. You may think, it's just a CubeSat. No, it's big. The fact that they can have a CubeSat and reliably throw it to moon and NASA can trust them, That's some big stuff. Now, another even bigger stuff is space-based solar power. Now you have to know, NASA has already did the math for space-based solar power, and it was done during the space shuttle era and during oil embargo of 70s. Now, why was that? Well, oil embargo was like a bitch slap to USA, and USA was like, whoa, this is bad. Now again, starting a war and all that jazz is good and all, but it's expensive. Why would you want to start a war? Bush. So in those sort of scenarios, they were like, okay, we have this issue. What can we do about it? At that point in time, shuttle was just coming up from the assembly line. So people had a lot of expectation from shuttle. They knew it will have some teething problem, and then we're going to work around it. And then we're going to have this amazing craft that will hopefully can do at least 52 missions per year. And, it will be able to carry 20 tons to low Earth orbit. So that was the tool that were that tool is in the pipeline. It will be ready in 1 or 2 years. What can we do with that tool and this oil embargo situation? So space solar became a viable system. They did all the maths, like proper real world mathematics, not just hulululu. Like scientists sat down, engineers sat down, how big does it have to be, where it has to be, which orbit it has to be. For example, the perfect orbit for it is geosynchronous, not geostationary, geosynchronous, because if you incline it properly enough, you will achieve 24/7 into 365. Now, geostationary also achieves this, but be mindful, geostationary during 2 months of equinox reaches a point where it dips into the shadow for 70 minutes. You really don't want a power plant that shuts down for 70 minutes. So geosynchronous has to be used. So they did that, and their calculation right now is very simple. Unless you have something that can transfer 50 ton plus and it is cheap and reusable, don't think about it. Now, something has changed recently. This capability, meaning 50 ton plus and cheap reusable, they do not want to use SLS. SLS mathematics is like thou shall not use SLS. There is no point of launching 150 tons if you only manage to do it once a year. No point in that. While Starship hopefully can achieve at least 12 launches per year, at least that much. And again, SpaceX have a track record where they're like, they start out very slow, and again, their timelines are LOL timelines, but they do achieve it, and they do push themselves, they do polish themselves, and they do things that nobody would have thought possible. They are reaching a point where they have like 100 rocket landings. Let that sink in. Everybody else is like, whoa, it is our 100 launch. SpaceX is like, bruh, 100th landing, come to our level, then we'll talk. So that has given a new confidence. Now, people know, NASA people know that Elon Musk is saying 2024, that's not happening. 2028 if we are lucky. So it's a long-term plan. So this is not something that you're going to see today, but this is something that NASA is taking very seriously, and they're like, let's lay the foundation on which we can build this sort of thing. Basically lay the infrastructure where people are like, okay, what kind of size we are talking about, what kind of launches we have to do, what can be the pilot project, what all those paperwork, basically all those early design reviews can be done at this point in time. So time is right, because reality is there are a lot of imperfect solutions that you can deploy on Earth that will solve the global warming, but here's all of them are imperfect. We have to combine all of them. For example, you have to combine solar with wind, with geothermal, with basically geothermal, hydropower, biogas, biomass, and then energy storage. Then you will be able to solve this problem. Or you can just have a giant system that is like base load power. Don't think too much about it. So you have a lot of like 5-6 imperfect solutions, or one giant expensive perfect solution. So right now time is right, and early testing is the only thing that will actually prove which works, which does not work. So let's see, NASA is taking this very seriously. This is like after what 50 years of hibernation. Let's see whether this can survive again or not. So this was my presentation on basically newses that I found interesting, and hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.